Birds of Prey has a special director helming action scenes. We answer a burning Snyder Cut question, and sci-fi has done blown up Krypton. All that and just a few other little things coming up. But first, I'm David C. Robertson. This is my co-host Jason Goss.
Hello.
And you are listening to DC On Screen, the podcast that covers the DC Comics multiverse on film and television, where we give honest opinions on projects upcoming and past, and believe that every version of a property is valid, even if we really don't want it to be. If it's been released, it's fair game, so beware of spoilers, and welcome to the show. All right, well, another show begun, I suppose.
Off to it.
Did you see this bit where Joaquin Phoenix talked about like what he came up with first as far as the Joker character? He says he was talking to the Italian newspaper La Repubblica's weekly magazine. He says,
It's such a Joaquin Phoenix thing to be doing right now.
I know, right? He says, I started with the laugh. I watched videos of people suffering from pathological laughter, a neurological disorder that makes individuals laugh uncontrollably.
Okay.
When I got asked to play the Joker, I don't really have a big precarious laugh personally, so I was a bit terrified. This is a guy who's laughing in a way that's very unique, so I worked on it and came up with something that is very strange, I admit.
Good. Good.
Why do you sound like Emperor Palpatine?
I don't know. It's a good place to start though. I like the I like him coming from a
Young Skywalker.
This is coming from a neurological condition. Sounds perfect. Yeah, I dig that. I don't know where you'd find those videos. I've never looked up neuropathological laughter. But you ever seen the videos when you ever seen like when they poke somebody's brain with a certain little prod and they laugh? It's weird. I hope it's kind of like that. That you can.
I've never seen any of that. That's weird.
Little spots like when you're doing brain surgery. If it's live brain surgery, you can probe little areas, and I think there's a little bit of voltage or whatever. But you hit a certain spot and it'll make them sad. You hit another spot and it'll make them like laugh, and you can make them do a lot of weird things. Not like on cue. It's kind of accidental, but you just got somebody pinned down and the little halo around their head to pin them down to the smallest possible fraction of an inch, and then you start making them laugh for no reason. Oh, get away from there. Get away from that part.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
And I had work to do after the show today, and now that's done. That's over.
That's going to happen instead.
Yep. I'm going to be on YouTube looking at brain surgery where doctors are accidentally making people laugh.
Yeah. It's weird.
All right. Well.
Yeah. But it's coming from a weird place here. I like it.
I'm always pretty interested to see characters like this, where the actors are getting their inspiration from. All right, so there's kind of a big hubbub over this. Chad Stahelski, the director of John Wick, is coming in to add some action sequences to Birds of Prey.
Sounds pretty sweet.
He's overseeing the second unit photography.
Such a specific job to bring him in for, but I dig it.
Yeah,
I mean the Wick movies are fast and I don't know. I mean, I want to say Fast and Furious, but that doesn't make sense. They're really like the action parts. You don't even remember what happened. Just like 10 minutes go by, and you're like, I don't know what happened, but a lot of people died, and it was cool.
I haven't seen those movies.
I think I've only even seen the first one, but it's still that's all I remember from certain scenes. It goes straight from they shouldn't have done that to that dog to like they're all dead. I mean, that's the emotional arc of the movie, as far as I remember.
Yeah. He's done a lot of work in the stunt world. He was Keanu Reeves' stunt double in The Matrix. Did a lot of second unit work with Hunger Games, Captain America Civil War, Ninja Assassin.
Definitely has chops.
Yeah, he's got the chops.
Good.
Got the chops.
Good.
So have you seen this bit? Like Microsoft set up a sort of an arcade lounge area for Suicide Squad for the cast and crew's downtime.
I have not seen that.
They are calling it the King Sharkade.
Nice.
And James Gunn posted a bunch of pictures of it, and like there's pictures of him playing a Guardians of the Galaxy pinball machine. There's some sort of Halo shooter game. They've got couches and a TV, and There's a pool table in there. There's also, and people are saying that he's hinting at Harley being in the movie because there's a big Scrabble board on the wall, and he is spelling King Shark, and that is intersecting with the word Harley. So, yeah, I thought that was fun. Like, I thought it was already pretty well documented that Harley was going to be in the movie, so I don't think that's really news. Honestly, I am reporting on this because I like King Sharkade.
It's really just about the punnery here. Okay, yeah. Now I've found this now, and that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, they've even got like a copy of Defender in there. I mean,
I love that they quietly have a little backgammon and over there, like somebody's gonna fucking play that. There's just a tiny little office corner, little stuffed shark on the wall, backgammon, and some checkers pieces that no one's using.
Yeah.
And one dude playing on a really nice pool table by himself. Although for all that room, all right, here's a qualm. That pool table's way too close to that couch for all that room. That's bullshit.
That's interesting. It's an interesting observation, Jason.
Well, this is the kind of thing I take away from shit. Sweet room though. I want to hang out.
Yeah, that looks like my dream.
Move the pool table over a couple of feet.
My dream.
I'll be good to go.
Space.
Oh yeah. Nothing would ever be accomplished.
No.
I don't even see a place to charge your laptop in that place.
I'm sure it's there.
It could be. And as far as Harley, like, Harley's been attached to Suicide Squad 2 since day one. She's never been detached from it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's my memory.
She was blatantly the most popular thing about that entire movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I think she was the most popular Halloween character that year and even almost the year after.
Yeah, I mean, if you did another Suicide Squad, whether you're calling it Suicide Squad 2 or The Suicide Squad or Task Force X or whatever the hell you call it. Yeah, if you're doing the same premise and you don't have Waller or Harley, you might as well be doing Hot Tub Time Machine 2 without John Cusack.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily fair because John Cusack, while I love him, was not the best part of the first movie. But but by name recognition, you gotta have it.
Just for the yeah, I get that. Yeah, I mean she's always been part of it. I mean, like Leto, that was a whole different conversation. He's never quite been on or off. It's been lots of hints and teases and blah blah blah. But would and honestly, if I had to bet, not gonna happen. But yeah, she's supposedly has been there since day one.
Yeah, I think James Gunn and David Ayer know each other, and Ayer has openly said, "Hey, the biggest problem with that movie is there wasn't as much Joker.
Yeah,
like, he should have been the bad guy.
Yeah,
he may very well call James and be like, dude, make Joker the bad guy.
I missed an opportunity here. Take it. Well, not that he missed it. I don't think they let him. Whole nother conversation.
They may not have let him. Leto.
They didn't let him Leto.
Yeah.
They told him to let go my Leto, and he had to. He wasn't able to use him.
He's like, I had so much Leto. Yeah, but it was all like, codependency shit and abusive relationship stuff, and those aren't hashtag relationship goals, Ayer.
No, but they are a good way to make a villain. Yeah. Instead, they ended up shooting stuff and ended up with a bunch of Letovers. Yeah,
all right, we're moving on. I'm proud, but I don't think we can attain beyond that. Like this, we're not going to top it.
Just going to skate on out of this section.
So, I loved this, and it's not really too much news, but someone asked James Gunn if Batman was going to be in Suicide Squad, and he told them that he needs to put Batman in Suicide Squad. James Gunn responds, "You can check out Batman in The Batman, June 2021. The Suicide Squad will feature mostly, the Suicide Squad."
To rephrase, hey douche nozzle, you do know he's getting his own fucking film. While I'm intending to make one that's about, I don't know, other people.
Yeah. Which, I think, and I've said something similar to this before. I was thinking about it the other day when I was first reading this story. And I was like, how much fun would it be if we had basically like the Coen brothers doing Suicide Squad, where it was basically Raising Arizona, but with the Suicide Squad. Like, and you position Batman as sort of the biker that's riding through the desert, tracking him down, where he's just a mysterious character. You never have to show his face. I've talked about that before.
Gotcha.
But
okay. I do remember that part. You'll have to tell me. I watched Raising Arizona when I was like 8 on Comedy Central, and I haven't seen it since. And I may not have seen the whole thing.
Okay.
There were commercials back then, and you didn't always make it back to the television in time.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it was 9, so someone probably changed the channel in the middle of it. I don't know. I don't remember the whole movie at all.
What would I have to tell you?
How it would go, because I don't have a point of comparison for Raising Arizona.
Oh, here is a mission with the Suicide Squad. You fill them in with, like instead of, Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter, you have the Suicide Squad doing whatever the hell they have to do. You could have, instead of Nicolas Cage's boss, that's Waller. It doesn't have to be like a perfect analogy, but,
right. Yeah.
Then you have like the problematic people, which would be John Goodman and that other guy who I can never remember, who are kind of related to the Suicide Squad, but are just causing problems for them because they want to go off on their own. That would be like someone like the Joker, who are kind of the real villains of the film. But then you also have Batman, who's another real villain. Yeah, you can just have all these antagonists.
Okay, so a movie where there's no one you're really rooting for in particular. Yeah,
you would be rooting for the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, okay.
Or probably Harley.
Or rather, there's a bunch of people you're rooting against.
I don't know. I feel
like backed into a corner with some other guys you're not entirely comfortable with. But you're like, all right, I guess it's you and me though.
I feel like I definitely would root for like Nicolas Cage's character in Raising Arizona is, a bad guy, and the couple, Cage and Hunter, they're obviously not great people. They've kidnapped a child.
It's a hard premise to fight back from.
Yeah, it is. And they do it so well in that movie. Like, you feel for them. You really do. Your heart goes out to them. You want them to have a happy ending.
Right.
God, the Coen brothers are good.
I'll trust you. Been forever.
Yeah. I know you don't have time. You never have time.
No, never.
It's one of those I like to throw on in the background. The verbiage in that movie is just fantastic.
Oh, I'm sure. The writing's always been solid with those two.
All right, moving on. Actually, to one of our big questions here, we had Brent from Fans Without Borders, Brentac Prime on Twitter, wrote me earlier this week and said, I have a show question for you and Jason about the Snyder Cut of all things. Let's say, for the sake of this question, that the Snyder Cut is not only confirmed as existing by WB, but is going to be released and has a release date. How do you think WB will handle the inevitable stories about the fact they positioned Justice League as a movie where Snyder left because of his family tragedy, and that they said Joss was coming in to finish Snyder's vision for the movie? Releasing a Snyder Cut would seem to fly in the face of that. Gets even weirder when you're watching the beginning of Justice League and it says that it was directed by Zack Snyder. Seems to me they would have to either own up to the fact that they used his daughter's death as a scapegoat for firing him, or that they would have to hope people would forget. Neither of which seems like a viable option to me.
Yeah, that's an uphill battle.
I think with it being Warner Brothers, the likeliest scenario is that they never address it.
That was where I was going to go with it, yeah.
Because they never have. But if they did address it, I think it would be said that there were conflicts between Snyder and the studio, creatively, and that Snyder decided to take some time because of the added emotional strain from the suicide. And then the studio made the mistake of moving forward without him instead of pushing it back. And I don't think it behooves Warner Brothers or Snyder at this point to deviate from the narrative that he took time off, or that they took time off because of their daughter's suicide. I don't think most people would blame them for playing along. They probably honestly, like, I looked back at some of the reports, and he was like, no, this happened back at this, in April or whatever it was, or March, and then I had to take time, or I pushed forward, and we took the 2 weeks that Warner Brothers gave us to deal with it, and then I buried myself in work to try to get over it. But I think that's probably true. But I think that it's true that he needed a break. But I also think that part of that was probably because of emotional strain from all the from Warner Brothers being up his ass about the movie. But if you want to get technical on it, they were complicit in spreading that deception.
Yeah.
There are actual quotes from them. Now, I don't think that most reasonable people would hold that against them, because I think it's pretty obvious that they were silenced by NDAs and have remained as such. Like,
to an extent. Apparently no one put in like extra unused or extra unfinished footage in the NDA.
Well, actually, I think that there was, I haven't seen this thing, but there is a greater amount of, there's usually a greater amount of restriction while the movie is actually in theaters. Like after a certain amount of time, you can talk about, like after a year or something, you can talk more about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I think the Snyder's...
It's unclear to us whether he's decided that he's got a line for himself or whether that may be up and he just doesn't... I don't know if there's not a normal size line or if it's a bigger deal than that. I
think what I'm saying, though, is I do think that they came to an agreement. I think Snyder was forced out, but I think some people could say that the Snyders were complicit in the deception, but they did so at legal gunpoint, I would say.
Could be.
But of course, if Twitter, has taught me anything,
by the way,
people don't have
everything we're
sense.
saying is speculation.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think it's speculation. I mean, it is speculation, but I think that's what happened.
I mean, yeah,
obviously.
But there are other possibilities. I mean, it actually could have been a mutual decision based on, hey, I don't think you're going to be able to get this done. It is entirely possible that his abilities to actually complete the job appeared to be, I don't know, like maybe he was trying to bury himself in work, but it just was not happening. It's entirely possible that the studio saw that, pointed it out, and he was like, "Yeah, you're right. I can't finish this."
I don't think that's what happened. Based on his demeanor, in the last few months, I don't think that's what happened.
Well, it could still be, and I'm just doing hypotheticals here, but it could still be that that's what happened. That he at the time agreed, "Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to be able to get this done," and then regretted not finishing what he started it anyway. Like, he might have let himself get pushed out the door because again, all hypothetical. They might have thought, dude, I don't think you're going to be able to get this done. You've been through a lot in the last few months. It's just, it is what it is. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. And then he may have thought, you know what, you're probably right. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this done the way I wanted to anyway. Maybe I need to go home and take some time for myself. And then later sees the product and thinks, fuck, I really should have just bit my lip and finished it anyway. Which, the only thing I'm sure about that to me isn't hypothetical is that in some capacity he regrets not finishing this film because
he does.
He would. I mean, good God, the teasers, the inane, unending teasers. Fruitless, by the way, is my problem with him. The fruitless, unending teasers.
it may bear fruit yet, but I think.
I mean, it could also just be that the studio said, we don't like where this is going, and took advantage of the situation and pushed him out.
Oh, I think they definitely did that. But it does...
There's a spectrum of how harsh this might have been.
I think it is as harsh as you imagined.
As I just described it?
Yeah, I mean, and if they do release this thing, they are going to use the phrase, the director's original vision.
Something to that effect, yeah.
And it's not. It's not. The director's original vision was scuttled before cameras rolled.
See, that's another interesting question altogether is, does Snyder have any last right of refusal on a take that would supposedly go out in his name?
Apparently not.
Could they just come up with a version of the film that he cut together as close as he got it? Could they just finish up that as they saw fit and send it out and put his name on it? Because they already have his name under directed. I mean, I think he can pull his name out, but I don't know how that works as a guy. I'm pretty sure you can pull your name out if they agree, but I think if they're trying to market it as the director's cut, they're probably not going to agree to that.
Yeah.
So does he have the ability to say, no, that's not the cut that I wanted, and maybe go in there and actually get to do a little bit of directing for the director's cut, or is he just going to be at their mercy? That's another question that I haven't really seen a lot of the Snyder Cut movement ask is, are you even ever going to get it, even if you got a thing called the Snyder Cut? Would he have anything to do with it at this point?
I think I don't think it would be accepted. Like, you want to talk about fruitless. If Warner Brothers tried to release a version of this thing, without Zack Snyder
mounted the marketing, mounted the post, mounted all of the digital and distribution stuff for it, and then afterwards he was like, that's not what I was thinking.
Yeah, they better have him involved.
Scuttled, as you said.
Yeah, it will be a wasted effort completely.
Yeah,
but I suspect Warner Brothers would not really address it. Like, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, all right. So far I agree with you mostly. Regardless of the origins of this fucking fiasco waiting to happen, tact number 1, ignore it completely. Just release the thing and hope everyone's so excited that no one questions it. That's got to be number 1. Tact number 2, assuming you are asked questions about, look, man, you pulled this thing off. You ripped this guy off a property in the middle of a family heartbreak, and now you're trying to monetize on the back end of a product that you failed us on the first part of, and blah, blah, blah. You know the whole argument. Then, like you're saying, you go with look, it was a rough time. Everyone made some decisions that we thought were best at the moment. We've had some time to think about it, and we've decided that the best thing we could do to honor his vision would be to release that vision. So here's this monetizable product. You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't put anything past WB. Toby Emmerich, when they announced that, when Snyder and company announced that they were stepping down, Toby Emmerich reassured us that there would be no new characters. Snyder has repeatedly said he doesn't know about that family at Chernobyl. Like, that there were new characters.
Yeah.
Like, Emmerich is a liar. And one of my biggest regrets is that he's still around. Like, pretty much everyone else got...
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't the principal problem. Sujihara was the major problem.
I think Sujihara was. I feel like the wrong people got thrown out. Like, I didn't have a problem with Johns and Berg. Maybe I should have. I haven't seen sufficient evidence. I know a lot of people like to say he's a snake. I haven't seen sufficient evidence to... I mean, I think he did absolutely disagree with Zack Snyder, but...
He's one of those where I'm open to him being a piece of shit, but he hasn't specifically drawn my ire.
Yeah, and the things that I've seen that he said I disagree with Zack Snyder on, I look at it and go, yeah, I agree with that. I'm sorry. Got a couple
points, you say? Okay.
I like you, Zach. I like it, buddy.
Yeah. I think in the Hamada era, there might be some grace to how they handle it. He seems to have a better idea of how to carry this franchise than his predecessors. I mean, God, with Sujihara, it's like it's half surprising that he didn't just immediately put out another cut under the Snyder Cut premise, because he was already cashing in as much as he could at the time anyway. It's a little surprising he didn't just say, you know what, fine, here you go, and spit it out there and try to make as much as he could on a theatrical release of it, with the DVD sales to follow and streaming rights to follow and all that crap. And in his era, like it. Even if let me put it this way, and if Sujihara was left with that question, I wouldn't be surprised if you I forget Snyder's daughter's name, but it wouldn't be surprised if it had RIP at the end of it. That would not surprise me a bit coming from him.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we made it in our honor and blah, blah, blah. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's gone. I wish he wasn't gone for being a personal sack of shit instead of a terrible businessman who mishandled properties we love.
Yeah.
Glad he's gone either way, but unfortunately some people were hurt in other ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And our mamby-pamby little feelings over a comic book movie don't equate to that. So
no.
I mean, I think that's my take on it. I don't really see them really addressing it, and only addressing it
if they have to.
If they absolutely have to, and with the least amount of words.
Oh yeah, you're not going to get a 4-paragraph press release. You're going to get like 5 sentences at something. Not even at a con. It'll be at a tiny release somewhere.
Yeah,
it will be addressed like as laterally as possible to the normal process is how they'll address that if they have to.
And I definitely want the Snyder Cut, but I think more than anything, I just want the issue to be resolved once and for all, so that we can actually hear from Zack Snyder what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Like, I am way more interested in the tea behind the scenes than I am the actual Snyder Cut at this point.
This is why I keep saying you might get like a long-term X year release of it at some point, because after a certain amount of time, once enough of, I mean, we're still in an era where Wonder Woman 2 is a thing. Cavill being on or off in any capacity, he's still technically there, but there's no going forward with it. There's so much in the air. There's no freaking way. They're not gonna throw another thing in there just to make things more complicated right now. They're trying to correct a lot of mistakes and a lot of vines growing out in the bush that they didn't want in their garden. So they're not going to throw that in there too right now. But when you get to the point where, like, yeah, no, we've made our money. We know where the franchise is going. Like, Shazam's in charge right now. We're not worried about anything else. Something like that. Like, we know where our bread's buttered. DC's got plenty of years ahead of it, and we're going to keep making these movies. And, oh, yeah, by the way, y'all wanted the Snyder Cut? Yeah, we're going to do that. And there's a 15-minute bonus footage from Zach about his take on what happened. Yeah, for sure. That is a possibility, but you got to wait for it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wait, let's put it this way. How long did it take to get the film, what was that? What was it called about the Nicolas Cage Superman film? The documentary on it.
Oh, I don't know, but that was, a fan produced that. Fan documentary filmmaker made that. So
yeah, but it got made, and it told a story.
It did.
And it got big names to actually help tell the story.
Yep, it did.
Like, you for sure knew way more about that failure than before you started that project.
But the important thing to remember about that, though, is that that documentary came about in basically the golden age of comic book movies. We had to wait so long before because no one gave a shit about genre films, or if they did, it was,
I agree. There was a market that wasn't there before.
Yeah, it's a much smaller...
and I think that's another piece of the puzzle, but I think an important piece is the time had passed.
Yeah, I mean, time is going to have to pass before we get the tea.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much time is going to have to pass before we get the Snyder Cut, if it ever happens, but...
I mean, I would wager you need less time for the Snyder Cut, but not significantly less.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I personally, before I start hating Jeff Johns, I need more than some grip telling me, like, yeah, I was there one time, and he was a dick. Like...
I mean, dude's not a fucking, he's a dude.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
He's just a guy. Do you know how many people in my employment history think I'm an asshole? And a lot of them are right, because I either was being an asshole because it was either A, my job, or B, a choice I'd made that was probably a poor decision. But I was being an asshole. Mm-hmm. And then other times just completely misunderstood, or something that I did was misinterpreted, and now I'm an asshole.
Yeah. Well, but Jason, don't you understand? This is cancel culture. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone has to have their entire life ripped away, even if they're just being a dick to somebody else.
Oh, no, it's not about that. It's about platforms being too readily available to the average person.
Mm-hmm. It is about that.
That is a problem. That is a problem.
It's about that.
No, it's actually not even that. Because that's blaming all of social media. It's the combination of the average person having a platform, which can be a good thing, and it's not even a 24-hour news cycle. It's the clickbait news cycle. Mm-hmm. The fact that you have to generate more and more outrageous headlines for somebody to click through, and the fact that you can find those headlines on the Twitter feed of a grip and pull some big name like Jeff Johns in there and make a statement. Like, maybe he was an asshole, but that wasn't a story a while back, and it's not the whole story of Jeff Johns, I'd wager. So, yeah, it turns into a thing on... I could pick any one of our websites, but I'm not going to pick on them.
Mm-hmm. And to be clear, I'm not picking on cancel culture in as much as like saying that, like, the Harvey Weinsteins and Kevin Sugiharas of the world shouldn't be ousted. But, when you get down to it, and Twitter is having the same visceral reaction to Jeff Johns possibly being a dick or having a disagreement with Zack Snyder on a movie, no, those aren't the same things at all. Yeah.
And look, there are varying degrees. Like, if he's arguing with somebody that has also made properties that I like, I'm just going to let mommy and daddy fight. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jeff Johns has done a lot of... He's got a lot of rope to hang himself with in my book. Yeah. So he's going to have more than one argument with more than one person that I respect before it's like, maybe this guy is a dick. I don't know. I mean, it's different. Like, if he backhands a puppy, yeah, fuck him. But that's not what we're talking about.
Oh, man. Anyway, those are my thoughts on it. I think it will...
I wish there was like a grainofsalt.com where you could just go and find all of the clickbait articles, and all of it's just like winnowed down to, okay, here's what actually happened. It doesn't mean much.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of sites, they have clickbait headlines, but the articles were written by completely different people. Like, there are actual, like, people who are like, okay, I wrote a pretty decent article. I did everything right. I had a title. My editor came in and changed it because it wasn't flashy enough.
Oh, yeah. I know. There's plenty of people complain about that, and they're right to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's bullshit.
Yeah. You get in the article and you're, well, this is actually well thought out. How did it get this headline?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, so, Brent, I hope we answered your question to your satisfaction.
We certainly talked about it.
We certainly did.
I did. I saw that question somewhere. I forget who Brent was talking to or with, or I don't know how that went down. I remember seeing that question and thinking, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
And it damn well is.
Mm-hmm.
One they're hoping to never have to address. And I promise you, a change.org petition is not going to make them address it.
No. All right, so we're going to start talking about TV in just a few minutes, or just a few seconds, or whatever. Right after this, damn it.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
All right, and we're back. That was a really long time. It was a long commercial.
Yeah. Forgot where we were.
Yeah.
Where are you again?
Who am I?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's right. We're recording.
I'm the Muffin Man, baby.
It's a good song.
Is it?
Yeah, Frank Zappa.
Oh, I wasn't thinking about that.
I don't even know what you were thinking about. That's the first thing I think of now.
Oh, I just, do you know the Muffin Man? He lives in Drury Lane. The old, like...
Oh, yeah, mine's way more fun.
No, I don't... I never really... I might get flack for this, but I never really liked Frank Zappa too much.
He's one of those where you got to kind of hit it.
You mean the marijuana before you...
Well, that too, but you can hit him in sprints, and he's pretty good. It's like it'd be hard to inundate yourself with it, but also he's got 4,000 albums. It's hard to do. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those where like you can just grab a random album and flip through it, and you're gonna find like 2 songs. These are fantastic.
You know the bit where Mark Maron is talking about how he can't wrap his mind, or he never wrapped his mind around Captain Beefheart. That's how I feel about Frank Zappa.
The Muffin Man, the live performance was actually performed with Captain Beefheart. Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Start with Safe as Milk, work your way forward. That's the Captain Beefheart formula.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally called Safe as Milk.
I think I'll just put on another Foo Fighters album.
Your digestion will go better. I promise you.
I
love it. It really is like they call it Safe as Milk, and it's one of the strangest albums I've really ever heard. It's really good though.
I don't know about all that. Yeah, I spend a lot of time alone at work. Maybe I'll give it a tumble. But moving on, the big news for our television news is that Sci-Fi has canceled Krypton after 2 seasons. Was that the sound of Krypton exploding?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if that's happened because I'm on episode 209. I have not finished episode 10.
Yeah,
that's for later this afternoon.
But look, the average number of viewers was only around 400,000.
Oh, that is low.
That was
even for Sci-Fi. That's kind
of I mean, well, they're not terrible for Sci-Fi, but the first season was drawing 1.8 million.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm dyslexic. Falling from 1.8 million in its first season to 400,000 in its second.
Less than a quarter of your viewers. That's rough. Yeah.
That's
I mean, there's gonna be a drop from the first. Always happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like retention is really what you're looking for, not so much the. You're not trying to match those numbers. Just get close to them.
Right.
But going in essentially 19 episodes, going down a quarter of your to less than a quarter of your audience. That's rough.
Mm-hmm. And they were down about 50% in live plus same day. That's just not going to happen. You're not going to. And look, Krypton was not owned by Sci-Fi. And that's another big. A lot of people are mad at Sci-Fi for doing this. They were mad at Sci-Fi for killing The Expanse. Those are really expensive shows.
Mm-hmm. Who did own it? I don't know.
I don't know who owned The Expanse, but Warner Brothers owns Krypton.
Oh, but yeah, but who's actually producing it? Sci-Fi or Warner Brothers?
I think Sci-Fi was footing the bill on the production, and
okay. That's a little bit cheaper. Like, it's not like a house thing where NBC made it and Fox bought it and aired it.
Yeah, but they don't own it. And that's a huge, huge issue. Like, they're not going to own redistribution rights. I mean,
right.
When you look at the fact that the first season of Krypton is now on DC Universe, I mean, because they own it, they took it off of Sci-Fi. So Sci-Fi is sitting there, going, well, we pitched in for a huge amount of this, and now we don't have it. We don't own it.
And they're over there. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Why the hell would they continue it? It's
a hard sell. I mean, if you still have the viewers and you've got the ad sales, that's one thing. But that's not. It's maybe not enough with 400,000 viewers. I mean, let's put it this way. That is, a rounded half of the Legends of Tomorrow viewers. It's not a lot.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Sci-Fi has to rely solely on linear ratings to monetize the series.
Yeah,
and there are huge high license fees when they're doing that. So yeah, it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to stick around. And Sci-Fi, I mean, I told you when it was announced, I said I give it 13 episodes. Sci-Fi is notorious for canceling shit.
Yeah, they do kind of chew up and spit out shows.
Mm-hmm. So the Lobo series is also dead, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The spinoff. But, Deadline is reporting that both Krypton and Lobo are being shopped around. A lot of people kind of feel like DC Universe might be a really good place for it. HBO Max might be a really good place for either of those series. And I'll be honest, I have not been digging this season of Krypton too much. I think it's just real slow moving, and I'm really sorry if you really enjoyed it. It pisses me off too, because I don't want, I do enjoy the story. I just feel like it should move a little faster.
That was the only complaint we had with season 1 when we reviewed it. It was gorgeous. There was a good story there. It just kind of moved slowly into that story. And
I admit that this is my problem. I really have a hard time remembering all their names. So when they're like throwing out all these like Corvexes and Elfongs and plop pleep plops and whatever, right. I don't know who the hell these people are. I'm like, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? My wife's like,
It's helped a lot that it's a visual medium.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody appears, I'm like, I know where I know that person. Cool, I'm good.
Like when they say Seg, I'm like, ah.
I know that one.
When they say Adam, I go, ah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I'm so behind on it, though. I was really excited about the Lobo series, though. I really enjoyed him. So
I mean, I wouldn't have been at all sad about getting a Lobo series, but I did kind of wonder how they were going to mount that. Like, how do you... I don't really know. It's kind of hard. Do you just do a show about a bounty hunter that's got some serious charisma?
I think the best case scenario in my book would be they do... very short seasons, 8 to 10 episodes, maybe even less, maybe 4 or 5 episodes, and call it a mini series, and basically give them just make it like a movie. You know what I mean? Like Lobo versus Santa Claus, whatever it is, whatever crazy thing it is, and just have that play out, and then be like, well, if that does well on DC Universe or HBO Max, we'll do another season. But we don't have to, because it's not like a continuing story.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Speaking of which, I don't know where Krypton Season 2 ends yet. That's, again, I really am going to watch that later today. And I did laugh earlier, because I had looked at TV Time to see what was on my agenda for this weekend in general. Mm-hmm. And it had Season 2, Episode 10. And then I looked this morning just to flip through and remind myself, and it said Season 2, Episode 10 finale.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they're up on that.
Mm-hmm. So
not missing a beat.
You can't blame Sci-Fi for doing it in. Just too expensive.
I mean, yeah, not at the end of the day. It just wasn't gonna work for him. But I do hope it has some kind of resolution. I don't know. I'm just hoping. I haven't seen, and I do go out of my way not to spoil myself, so I don't know.
Yeah, I doubt it will, but
I do too. Because I mean, being 9 of 10 episodes in, I kind of know what they've got left and what they need to finish up telling me about, and there's not really enough room to do all of it.
Mm-hmm.
unless it's just a fantastic episode.
Yep. Over to the CW verse, the Arrowverse, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a little bit of crisis conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first week we've had in a while that just didn't have some like earth-shattering or Earths-shattering news.
Confirmed news about it?
Yeah, about what's coming for Crisis. But I'll be damned. Even this little bit of rumor is just as exciting as a confirmation as some of the confirmations we've gotten. Earlier this week, Tom Welling was on Instagram sharing some stuff from one of his upcoming projects, and in the comment section, one of the fans said something to him about how they wanted him to be in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and his response was, duh. And a lot of people kind of took that as saying, why would he even respond to that if he wasn't in it?
No, not necessarily at all. I mean, I'd love that to be the case, but hey, I'd love to see you there. And then Tom Welling, like, no shit. I know you want to see me there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And they're like, oh, Tom Welling hints that he's involved. And I was like, oh, cool. And I like looked at it and I went,
that's not at all what that was.
That's not really a confirmation or a hint. That's just yeah, I know. Everybody says that shit.
Yeah, it's not even him saying that he necessarily wants to do it.
Like, get off my dick, y'all.
Now, I don't necessarily think like if it won't take long. I mean, to actually shoot this thing, it probably wouldn't take him long. They wouldn't. It's not like he's going to go and have like a giant role. It'd probably be a cameo kind of thing. Probably have him for a few seconds somewhere or something. Like they could knock it out pretty quickly, but he'd have to go all the way to Vancouver, where I'm pretty sure he's going to trigger PTSD.
Oh, it's not that serious. He's just a whiner.
No, I'll give him this. Smallville was one of the first shows where they really dug their heels in Vancouver, and they hadn't quite figured out how to treat their people at all.
Oh, I know.
And he was too young to understand what he could stand up for himself to do. So, I mean, yeah, you can hear him when he talks about going to Vancouver. You can hear his voice change. I mean, he gets genuinely anxious. You can hear it in his voice. I feel bad for the guy. I don't feel bad for him. He's Superman. I mean, yeah, he always gets that, and he got paid. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you can tell it was a. I love the stories where they're talking about him getting off work at 10 or 11 o'clock or whatever, driving an hour to his whatever it was that he was staying, sleeping for like 3.5 hours, getting up at 4 a.m, and driving himself back to the set to go ahead and start makeup and everything. And like, was it Rosenbaum on his Inside of You said that he was one of the people that kind of had to go to the producers and be like, he's going to die. He's going to die on the side of the road up against a tree. Our fucking show will tank without Tom Welling. You're going to kill Superman. Get him a driver.
So you can at least sleep on the way.
Right. It was a neat story. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. It's Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Right.
It's a good podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But it's been so many years. He is just a little bit of a whiner now. If he still, if he can't like show up for a cameo,
I think he'd go back.
If he can't go to Toronto for 5 minutes and play a Superman for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sure he could go back.
And just show us a single still of him standing next to Brandon Routh and Tyler Hoechlin, and maybe a CGI'd Christopher Reeve. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying it should happen.
Oh, never.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, hell, it'd be kind of fun. They're both in LA. Just have Michael and Tom show up somewhere and do their own scene in a private setting. You could just borrow a set from somebody, just Lex and Clark Kent talking, and ship that in. Just ship that in from LA. Splice it right in the episode wherever it's supposed to go. Just a glimpse at another Earth where they're still hanging around.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a shitty way to do a Smallville cameo? Is you have Clark and Lex and people lose their shit.
Yeah,
and as they're talking, like, the great antimatter wall comes up and just destroys the entire universe. You can even throw in the music again. Somebody say,
yeah,
just cut it off.
Oh yeah, Tom Cavanaugh just sitting there going, "There was so much more they could have done." or Cavanaugh just, "Oh, what a waste." So much potential.
But yeah, I think Tom Welling will definitely show up. Stephen Amell's been hinting it too much. He's been actively saying he wants it to happen too much. They're so close to producing this thing.
I think wasn't it Guggenheim that said he's been on the phone every single day with somebody?
Yeah.
Give me anybody, man. I don't care.
Yeah.
What's Kristen Cruick doing? I don't care. I know she's in prison, but is Allison Mack busy? Or like, does she have visits? Because we can make that work.
Right. Hopefully they would just like skim right over the Chloe debacle, and
oh yeah,
I don't think they'll mess with that.
No. Nobody touching that one.
I would want to. I would want there to be a scene where there's like Clark and all the Supermen standing together and they accomplish something, and then one of them says, "What's Nexium?" instead of "What's next?" And then like Tom Welling, Superman, just goes, "Dude, what? Not cool."
Yeah.
But
if this were a different universe or a darker show in any capacity, like all right, so The Boys right now on Amazon Prime, dark shit. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg producing that one. I wouldn't put it past those two, for instance, to have a scene where just in the background you can just barely see on like the marquee for somewhere, like a Nexium wellness presentation by so and so.
Yeah,
that wouldn't surprise me a bit. Yeah. Oh, we're on Arrowverse? Nope, not happening.
Yeah, The Boys.
Nor is it tasteful. I'm not even disagreeing. It's not particularly anything.
I want to see The Boys, but I'm a little gun shy with Amazon because they just canceled The Tick with no resolution.
No.
So
just Amazon stuff. You just take it for what it's worth. Enjoy it while it's there. That's really all you can do.
Anywho,
any of the streaming places. That's really all you can do. You can't count on an ending.
Yeah, I mean you can't with the network either, really.
I'll give it this: it's the one thing network still has over streaming. I feel like you still get an ending a little bit more right now in network television. With streaming, they just look at the numbers and again the black box of numbers because we have no fucking idea.
Yeah,
there's no industry standard that we can look at in Variety and go, oh, this is going great or this is going poorly.
I feel like you feel that way because most of the network stuff that we watch is CW, and they just literally, if they have like 3 viewers, will not cancel anything.
Oh, my cousin Todd watches this show. We're gonna keep it on.
But like as much as like certain networks are really bad about it. Fox is really bad about canceling stuff without giving it a chance.
Yeah.
I feel like ABC and CBS, these have things that would NBC's bad about canceling stuff. Really ABC and CBS will like just keep shit on for so many years.
Hey, like they're all bad about it, and it's just an instinct. I have no data to back it up. I just feel like I've seen a little bit more resolved on network than I have streaming sometimes. I'd kind of like to see what their actual data is. How many shows got a resolution?
Mm-hmm.
What percentage chance do you have watching something on each network to actually get it finished?
I feel like genre shows have a much better chance on CW.
Yeah, because they'll go fucking forever.
Yeah, but like...
I mean, they just wrapped up iZombie after, I think, 5 years?
Yeah.
5 or 6 years, I can't remember. But it was a last and final season, wrapped up. I enjoyed the ending. I feel really happy about that show.
Yeah, same with Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Where they're like, look, it's not really doing the numbers we want. How about we end it? We're just going to give you a chance to end it. Like, yes, thank you. Let's have an ending.
Yeah.
We'll give you 8 episodes. Just get it done.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be wonderful if that was an industry standard, but it's never going to happen.
All right. So here's a little bit of tea, man. Last week we talked about Colton Haynes had quote unquote dropped out of the final season of Arrow. And then Beth Schwartz said, we hope to have him back. We love him, and he's obviously one of the foundations of the show. All right. Colton Haynes goes on Twitter and says, getting a lot of angry messages, so just to clarify, I did not exit the last season of Arrow. I was not asked to come back for the final season as a series regular. But y'all know Roy. He's never gone for too long. And he had little happy faces. So, yeah, I think he was just not asked to come back.
Yeah. This is what we said last time. I don't know what they were going to do with him. They brought him back for the flash forwards, and then what?
Or at the very least, he doesn't need to be there as a series regular. Like,
no.
He could be recurring.
Yeah, not unless the flash forwards are going to have some series regular meaningfulness to them, and you don't have time to do that with Oliver and the Monitor going on a road trip. So not going to happen. Sorry. Also, where do you get off sending Colton Haynes fucking angry messages.
Yeah, leave him alone, dude.
Fuck off.
Right?
Can't believe you dropped. I mean, come on. That's entitlement at its worst. Just don't do that. Be better.
Yeah, some of these folks, man. Some of these folks. God. But I think the fact that Colton Haynes, like, it does not feel like his story is over. Roy's story is full of mystery, man. We don't know what the hell's going on with Roy.
Yeah, he just kind of comes and goes, but
He does come and go.
there's not time.
But there's a bunch of stuff that happened in between the current show and the future.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot hinted at that I don't feel like has been answered. I think there is a pretty good there's a pretty good case for them to be setting up that 2040s storyline with maybe Roy and William and
Yeah, everybody
what's her face?
Everybody working that mission. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you would like? I think this is probably perfect for you though. Burn Notice did a thing between one season and the next. I can't remember. It was somewhere in the latter half where Sam Axe,
The Bruce Campbell movie, yeah.
Yeah, he got his own thing, and it was just like a TV. It was basically just like 2 episodes in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of long form storytelling over 2 episodes. But yeah, he got his own little thing. I don't even know if Jeffrey Donovan showed up in that. I think it was. I mean, I know Bruce Campbell was the main part of that thing, and the whole story was his story alone. I don't even, like I said, I don't remember who actually was there other than him. I know there were some side characters involved. It's been a while, but it just kind of went back and told a little bit of like, hey, you remember when you were wondering what the hell Sam X was up to on this? Yeah, here's the whole story. I think something like that might really suit your fancy. Just in between seasons, here's a little like 1 episode, 1 shot, or even a 30-minute episode, little mini-sode released on the DC Universe or CW or something like that. Oh yeah, remember you were wondering what the hell happened to Roy for a little while? Yeah, here's 45 minutes.
Yeah, I personally don't need anything.
I think it'd be a fine solution though.
I'm saying there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room to tell a story.
Yeah, there is. I would say CW Seed and make one of those animated things, but those are hardly. I mean, those are only loosely related to the actual stories.
Yeah, I don't want any more. I can pretty definitively say I don't want any more of those weird animated interstitials. Like,
yeah, that was I don't know if they're still doing them. That was a weird time.
They haven't been very good.
No, they kind of really they really haven't. And part of it was like they were releasing them 5 minutes at a time. It was weird. It ended up being 1 episode of a show that you didn't even know was really part of it, that was only a little bit related to what was really going on in the rest. It was hard to. And
then you don't get the full story until you get the Blu-ray, which adds 15 extra minutes that makes it flow like an actual story to some degree, but still, kind of a chunk of shit.
Yeah. I think where we really got pissed was when they undermined most of Constantine's original story in the cartoons. We're like, I don't even know what to do with this.
Oh, what that was a, they weren't clear in their marketing, but that was in the same universe as the DC animated movies. So that was Justice League Dark Constantine.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
That was not made clear at all.
It wasn't made clear at all.
They billed it as Matt Ryan returns and animated.
Now, set separately and made clear that that's what was happening, I think that's a fine thing. And it'll be on my shelf one day next to Justice League Dark. But telling me, hey, the Matt Ryan Constantine, you know, I know it's Matt Ryan doing it in Justice League Dark, but you tell me that, and I'm going to think, oh, cool, they're going to do it's just
because they were booting it at the same time he was being heavily incorporated into the actual era. It was an annoying little effort, and we were already a little bit disappointed with the product as it was. So, strange
all
times.
Right. Well, that is all I got. That's all I got, man.
Well, hell.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll call it.
Yeah.
But Krypton and Legion to watch.
Right. Before we dip, I do want to thank our patrons. I didn't do that at the top of the show. I should have, but I did not, and we're not going to change it because that's more work.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Billion.
Thank you so much, though, all of our patrons.
It's also really hard to match a tone at the end. No, that's hard to do.
Yeah, but look, if you want to be a patron, $1 a month gets you the normal show ad-free on Patreon, on the Patreon feed. They send you a secret feed, and And if you do the $5 a month, you also get Jason's pull list and chasing squirrels when I get my head out of my ass and post them. Or, warm-ups when we get our heads out of our asses and decide to make them.
Well,
Sometimes we'll have a whole conversation and just forget to hit record and then be like, oh shit, we should have recorded that. That was pretty good.
Well, yeah, that's the way those end up happening is we just forget that we've hit record. Like, oh, yeah, we should start the show at some point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And it seems weird to force them because it's not organic. Just problems.
Yeah. They just bloom naturally.
And we have Marvel reviews and all sorts of crap up there.
Yeah.
That's me selling it. We got a bunch of crap for you to listen to.
I keep saying we're going to do Into the Spider-Verse next just to make sure.
I keep saying I'm going to watch Into the Spider-Verse, and I want to. But
I've had it bookmarked for a minute, and I still intend to. That's happening this weekend if I can possibly help it.
Yeah. I think my wife and I were both talking about doing that today, maybe.
It looks good. I've watched the first 10, 15 minutes, and I'm excited about it. I just haven't been able to find time yet.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Okay, well, we're going to take off our clothes. It's the weekend. I'm already naked. Until next time, keep some DC on your screen.
Bye.
Our intro music is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Galactic Engineers of Magnetic Sounds, or GEMS, can be found on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Visit DCOnScreen.com to find our Patreon, merch, contact information, and every episode of the show for free, including crossovers we've done with other podcasts. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. For more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, vlogs, parodies, and our improvised web series Hey Guy, visit maladjusted.tv.